Migration policy condemns spiritually and sometimes physically thousands of people who find themselves hostages to strangers in their own homes. And in such a situation, my dear ones, mere energetic work is not enough anymore because events are developing too quickly. The migration locust leaves the inhabitants of developed countries no choice but to act physically, defending themselves and their families from the invasion of foreigners. Civil position. Hello, my dear beloved children. So let's continue the conversation about the so-called migration policy of the deep state. Now, let's consider it more comprehensively, not only from an energetic, but also from a physical point of view. Its physical aspect is that those political leaders who open the floodgates for refugees in their countries and who do everything to increase their numbers every day count on the fact that the migrants they have benefited from will support their candidacies in the upcoming elections. Thanks to them, they try to stay in power since they have lost popularity among their citizens, whose interests they have long ceased to consider. And such a situation is now evident in dozens of countries worldwide. As a result, no matter how dissatisfied the indigenous people are with their leaders, it becomes increasingly difficult for them to remove them from their positions and to resist the massive influx of migrants. So, how can we get out of this seemingly hopeless situation? The only way out here is to unite these countries' indigenous inhabitants and create governments that will protect their home and their interests rather than the interests of foreigners at the expense of the local population. What is happening now in developed countries resembles the invasion of locusts into agricultural lands, which is capable of destroying the entire crop and thereby dooming people to death by starvation. Similarly, migration policy condemns spiritually and sometimes physically thousands of people who find themselves hostages to strangers in their own homes. The gradual displacement of the cultural heritage and traditions of entire peoples leads them to spiritual starvation and, therefore, to the disappearance of them as nations. And in such a situation, my dear ones, mere energetic work is not enough anymore because events are developing too quickly. The migration locust leaves the inhabitants of developed countries no choice but to act physically, defending themselves and their families from the invasion of foreigners. As you can see, the dragon reptiles are in a hurry, realizing they have almost no time left. The vibrations of your planet are increasing too quickly, and the awakened part of the Earth's population. Therefore, seek leaders capable of resisting the criminal migration policy of globalists and uniting the indigenous population around them. Support those who have already begun to act in this direction. It is time to show your civil position in order not to allow the puppets of the deep state to dispose of your lives and deprive you of your lawful rights, granting unjustified privileges to those who come with their charter into someone else's monastery. Now, we will stop today. Loving you infinitely, Absolute Father spoke with you. Received by Marta on December 19th, 2023.